So, Rachel, would you mind introducing yourself to my class?
Sure. My name is Racheal Szabo. I'm 35 and I'm a hairstylist and I live in Connellsville.
Okay, so how long have you been a hairstylist?
Ooh, since 2006.
Okay, so where did you get your training at to be a hairstylist?
I went to Laurel Business Institute in Uniontown.
Okay, and did you always want to be a hairstylist?
No, not at all.
What did you want to be?
I actually wanted to be an actress.
Okay, and what took you into the hairstylist route?
Well, my mom actually would not let me go to school for musical theater because she wanted me to be able to support myself. So she said, pursue musical theater later in life and let's try and get a real job first.
Well, so, I'm going to make a comment right now because these guys don't know. I think you could make it in musical theater. I've seen everything you've done. This woman's amazing on stage. Your voice is just amazing.
Thank you.
However, my favorite role was in Xanadu, but again, that was as my son was on roller skates. But so how many, do you own your own business?
I do not. That is actually not something I really want at this point in my life. Okay. But I work for a woman who basically lets me run my own business in her shop.
Okay. How many people do you deal with on a daily basis?
It varies, especially right now with COVID. I have a lot of cancellations. So I can have anywhere from 3 people to 10.
And when you deal with these, because you're dealing with the public day in and day out, that's basically what your job is dealing with the public.
Yeah.
Do you talk to your clients? Do you try to gain a rapport with them whenever they come in?
Yes, you have to. If you have someone sitting in your chair, they want to be able to trust you with their hair. So if you just sit there and don't talk to them, don't let them know what's going on or what you're doing, they're very hesitant and to let you do anything.
Okay. Do you ever have someone come in and say, hey, I want this done, but yet you realize it won't look right? Do you try to talk them out of it, or do you just go along with them?
Oh, I'm 100% that person who will say no. Okay. I have no trouble telling someone that something's going to look bad with their skin tone or their face shape because they're a walking billboard for me. So if it looks bad on them, it looks bad on me.
Okay. When you work, do you have bad days?
Yes.
Does your customer know you're having a bad day?
No, usually not. Unless I'm like sick or something, and you can see it, I try not to let anybody know that I'm having a bad day.
Okay. So have you ever had an issue with the customer that created your bad day?
Yes. For sure.
And in a situation like that, how do you handle it?
You kind of just have to, smile through your teeth and be as polite as you can.
Which is kind of interesting. So when you went, like you said, you went to LBI for learning this trade. So you graduated high school first.
Yes.
And then you went to LBI. Where did you go to high school at?
Connellsville.
Connellsville. Were you preparing to go to LBI, or were you looking at going into another field at the time?
I was looking into going into something else. Since my mom had nixed the acting thing, I actually was looking into like television and video production.
Okay.
And I actually went to community college for a year just to get some general education classes in. And that's when I discovered that I couldn't really sit in a classroom anymore. I needed to be doing something hands-on.
And that's what I was going to ask you, if you feel that you made the best choice for yourself.
Definitely.
So,
I am a creative person, so
okay.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what drew you into looking into going into theater and going into the arts, like that you are doing?
Can you repeat the first part? It cut off.
No problem. So you are involved in the arts. You're involved with the stuff that goes on at the State Theater. You want to be, you said you wanted to be in musical theater. What got you interested in doing that?
Well, actually in high school for my first musical, my mom made me audition for it because
Okay.
she was like, all you do is sing and dance around this house. Like you're gonna try it for a year. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. So I did my first musical in 10th grade and I kind of have been doing it ever since.
Do you see your career relating to the theater or vice versa?
It definitely has. I'm actually Geibel High School. I'm their acting coach and I do hair and makeup for them. I do a lot of the wig work and makeup at the State Theater and at the Geyer Performing Arts Center in Scottsdale. And I also work on some of the films and TV shows that come in through Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's interesting. So did you ever think being a hairstylist that you would have that opportunity to be able to work on the TV and movies that come through the area?
No, and I always thought I would have to move to New York or LA to do those things, which is what I wanted to do when I was young.
Right.
But we're very blessed that Pittsburgh is becoming like the next Hollywood, and I've had a lot of opportunity.
So if you don't mind me asking, whose hair or makeup you've done that we may be familiar with?
I actually don't really do any of the like celebrities per se. I'm more like, because I'm not union yet, I'm working to get into it, which is hard.
Okay.
But I've worked with like Jason Momoa and Seth Rogen.
Really?
And,
Okay.
yeah.
So, okay, well, that's cool. Are there any other productions in the area that you've worked on, like anything through Netflix or stuff like that?
I just finished one in March that's not out yet. It's called Archive 81.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure what it's about. It was a lot of craziness on set.
Okay, so my question is, so when you're doing that, how are you able to do your normal 9-to-5 job then?
I am very lucky to work for a woman who just kind of lets me do my own thing. I basically, like I said, run my own business out of her salon. Okay. And I can make my own schedule, and my clients are very flexible because they all want me to grab that opportunity. I'm at a place in my career where I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do.
Okay. So when you got into this line of work, what was the most difficult thing for you to learn?
Men's haircuts.
It's short hair. Very easy. What are you talking about? Why is men's haircut so difficult?
Because men are pickier than women. No offense.
Why is that? It's because we have less to work with, or what?
It seems to be that way, but like most of my male clients are usually up in the mirror checking their sideburns and like, is this even? And I'm like, yes, I've checked it 3 times. Women are just kind of like, oh, looks great. And they're on their way because they have things to do.
So, okay, this is a personal question, guys. How often do you recommend a guy getting a haircut?
How often do I recommend?
Yeah.
It depends on how fast your hair grows. I have clients who come every 2 weeks and clients who come every 6 weeks.
Okay. How about ladies? Same thing?
I say like 6 to 8 weeks.
So when you're working on these individuals, what do you consider your specialty?
Color.
Right. Okay. Why color?
Color allows me to be creative, and because a lot of people will bring in like a picture or something from Pinterest that's usually like Photoshopped.
Okay.
If it's something you can achieve, like it presents you with a challenge, and it's nice to break up the monotony in a day and not just do like taking 1 inch off of someone's hair. And because a lot of people just come in for a trim. So when I get to do color, I get to flex my creative muscles a bit and challenge myself and think. So it keeps it interesting.
Does anyone have any questions? So it's early in the morning, trust me. If it was
This
later,
is not my prime time.
So again, going back, you see yourself doing this until, say, retirement, if that's even on the horizon? Or would you rather go into movie hair and makeup?
That, I believe, is the ultimate goal. I'm trying to get into the union because there's more opportunity when you get into the union, and the pay is different and you get benefits. But I would still keep my clientele because they helped me get to where I am. So I wouldn't just want to desert them.
So how did you find out about these movie jobs and these TV jobs?
My best friend is actually in the union.
Okay.
Her and I met at LBI, and we did our first movie together. And she kind of went more toward the film and I went toward musical theater. And she always said, if I get into a position where I can hire you, will you work for me? And I said, no, because at first I didn't want to do it.
Okay.
I wanted to be in front of the camera.
Right, I gotcha.
And the day came and she was like, I really need your help. We've hired like 4 people, and it was for a Seth Rogen movie. And nobody's updos were staying in. It was set in the 1920s and they needed someone who could get updos to stay in. And I do a lot of weddings. And she was like, I know you can do this. I just need you for 3 days. I ended up working a lot more than 3 days because they liked me. So that kind of opened the door for me.
So when you deal with it, other than the hairstyle itself, what is the most difficult thing you have to deal with?
The background extras can be trying sometimes because they all think they're famous at that point in time.
Okay.
And they can be very demanding and rude, and you kind of just have to, again, smile and just be like, no, this is what I was told to do to your hair. I've had people rip their hair out right in front of me that I just did because they didn't like it. But then I have my boss from LA saying like, no, that's how their hair needs to be. You need to put it back in. So it's a push-pull thing a lot.
When you're dealing with someone like that from LA who's telling you how the hair must look, is it difficult to get their image through your hands onto the hair? Do you run into a problem where there's a miscommunication occasionally?
Yes.
How do you fix that?
You just have to buckle down and do it until it's right. I actually ran into that problem on the Netflix show I worked on. I had to match a stunt double's hair to the actor he was doubling for.
Okay.
And it wasn't right the first 2 times because this guy had extremely kinky curly hair and his actor had pin straight hair. And that is not easy to straighten curly, thick hair and make it look like thin, straight hair. So I had to cut his hair 3 times, and once was on set like right before he went on.
Oh, interesting. I would have honestly, of what I've watched, I would have never thought about that being an issue of different hair types for stunt people or stand-ins. That would have never crossed my mind.
Oh yeah, they're very detail oriented, and continuity is a big thing.
So what is the one, I mean, do you get to use your creativity when you're doing the movie and TV work, or you're just doing what they said?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
A lot of times you're doing what they say because it's a very specific shoot. Like the one time we had to do a party in 1921 and we weren't allowed to do, that's like when the flapper hair was really popular, and we were not allowed to do flapper hair or finger waves or bobs because the main character had that for her hairstyle. So we had to make everybody else look different.
And how do you make someone look different with the 1920s hairstyle that is not the popular one?
You just manipulate pieces of hair to kind of have that look to it, but you basically, we had to just do quick updos because we had like 250 extras and you have to get them in and out.
Wow. The other thing is a lot of the hairstyles that you deal with, did you learn those at LBI, or how did you learn how to do them? Because I know you probably get a lot of people bringing in photographs going, I want this. How do you learn how to do that?
A lot of trial and error. We're not actually required to do any kind of continuing education. So anything that you want to learn, you have to take it upon yourself to do it. So I utilize like Instagram a lot because there's a lot of celebrity stylists putting free material up there with color and updos. And I've learned a lot from other people just by social media.
So you have to be licensed to do hair in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
And how often do you have to renew that license?
Every other year.
Okay. And did you have to take a test before you received that license?
Yeah, I had to take 2. I had to do a written test and a practical test.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, so what's on the practical test?
It's different now from what I've heard. It's a lot easier now, apparently. When I was in school, it was like a 4-hour test, and you had to do like haircuts, a perm wrap, a manicure on a fake hand, cuts, a mock color. That was 100 years ago, so I don't really remember.
So okay, that's interesting to me. So are you just a hairstylist, or are you considered a cosmetologist?
I'm a cosmetologist.
Okay, so what does cosmetology cover?
Hair, skincare, and nails.
So when you do skincare at your shop, at the shop you're working at?
Nope, I just concentrate on hair.
Okay. Of the 3, which would you rather do? Would you rather do nails and skincare, or would you just happy doing hair?
I'm just happy doing hair. I used to do the other 2 and I quit.
Okay, so would makeup come into play with that?
Yes.
Okay, so again, when you look at training at LBI or even our Vo technical schools, the hands-on learning, how do they teach you? It's all trial and error, or I mean
it's a little bit of trial and error. Your first semester is usually like coursework, just like regular college. You do some hands-on stuff, but a lot of it is, learning from a book like you would. And then you kind of get towards the end of your first semester, you start to do a little of the hands-on stuff, but you have to learn like nail diseases and all the anatomy, because like if you are giving someone a foot rub, you could accidentally like send a pregnant woman into labor. Or if someone has diabetes, you could send them into like diabetic shock, or you could paralyze someone's face if you're doing a facial. So you have to know all of those things, and it's a lot more in depth than people realize.
Wow, I didn't realize that myself. That's kind of interesting. So when you're dealing with different types of hair, does a customer come in that you've never worked on before? You looked at it and you hope that they go to someone else in the shop because it's one of those hairs that it's difficult to work with, or are you willing for the challenge and doing whatever it takes?
I used to be that way.
Okay.
I used to be afraid to do things, but because I was inexperienced at the beginning.
Okay.
But now I welcome that stuff because I am very competitive with myself.
Okay.
And I like a challenge, and I like to know like, hey, I tamed that mane.
So I'm in a situation right now where I've had short hair for the last 10 years and I'm finally growing it back again. And it's not growing back in places where it's supposed to. So yeah, I know. And trust me, Dan's lucky he does not have my hair.
He has beautiful
hair.
hair.
If he did, he'd be out of work, to be honest with you. So when someone like me who has losing hair, is it better to try to deal with it with a comb over, or is it better just to shave it? I mean, what look? Because you're dealing with this on a regular basis, and I know you, like you said, guys are picking because of our vanity. Is we still want to look like we're 22 years old and there's no way possible?
Yes. The thing I have found is that I've never had a client, except for my father, just shave his head due to like hair loss.
Okay.
Most of them I try and give them techniques for styling or products they can use to kind of cover it, or a cut that will help camouflage it.
Okay.
So I don't actually have too many male clients because, like I said, that wasn't my favorite. I could kind of pick and choose. But the ones that I do have who have those problems, that's more or less what we do.
Because I know you can buy the stuff in a can that you can spray it on, but that's the TV remedy for it. Any of the product. Oh, and that leads me to another question. Because of Pinterest, because of YouTube, because of Instagram, or because of TikTok, has anybody come into you screwing their hair up so bad that you needed to fix it for them?
Yes. One of my clients actually just saw a curtain bang tutorial on TikTok and thought she could do it, and she ended up giving herself a mullet.
So what is a curtain bang?
A curtain bang is like that 70s. It's really popular right now. It's like with a middle part and it kind of frames the face and looks like a.
Okay, I remember that. Okay. I tried that. I put, because I have my parts on my left side. But I got it. Okay. How, I have another student coming in later that's going to watch this. How do you deal with someone with a cowlick?
Cowlicks are hard. That's why the client consultation is important, because you have to kind of look through their hair and see what you're working with, look at their hairline, because there's people who have like double crowns, which is like, it looks like if you're looking down on it, like a hurricane on a map, and their hair grows in multiple different directions. So you have to find a way to like get that to all lay uniform. So sometimes with a cowlick, you have to cut longer because it'll shrink up like 2 inches shorter than the other part of their hair.
Okay.
So it's a lot of calculating.
So after, I mean, honestly, I get my hair cut in, I go in, the person that cuts it talks to me for about 15 minutes, I leave. I've never realized how much work and how much training there is involved in doing this.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you tame, as you said, someone's mane and you do an excellent job, do you feel a sense of pride when they walk out the door?
Oh, yeah. There are days, fortunately, I don't have too many bad days anymore because I've been doing this a long time.
That's good.
So I have my days where I'm discouraged. I'm not perfect, but there are days where I will literally just kind of pat myself on the back, because you're allowed to be proud of yourself. You worked hard for it.
So would you recommend this career to people that are interested in doing it?
Yes. If your hair isn't for everyone, and there's a lot of people in the hair industry who think they can do hair, but they're more like a logical thinker, you have to have some sort of like creativity for it, because you have to be able to have someone sit in your chair, look at their hair, see what you're dealing with, get their hair history in like 2 minutes, and come up with something for their skin tone and their face shape and their hair texture, all in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you have to have a creative mind, because like whenever someone sits in my chair, a million things are going through my head about what I could do.
I again, like I said, I'm amazed with what's involved, because I said I just go in and I go out. I never think of it. And especially when you dye someone's hair, what are some of the things that you have to take in consideration?
Well, a lot of people for some reason like to lie about what they've put in their hair.
Okay.
So you have to always just kind of be vigilant, especially when using chemicals, and pay attention, because usually like you can feel what's in their hair too and be like, well, I've had people say I haven't colored my hair in like 10 years. And I'm like, okay, well, what's this band of color across the bottom?
Okay.
Oh yeah, my box dyed my hair.
Okay.
Ugh.
Okay, so the home products they use, are they okay to use on a regular basis, or are they just best to use when you have to touch up?
Like the stuff from Walmart?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
never.
Why not?
Box dye has something called metallic salts in it, and it coats your hair. So it's basically like trying to get through a metal wall with a spoon. You can put a dent in it, but you're not going to get through it. So if someone box dyes their hair and they come in and then they want highlights, they're going to have to wait until that is cut out, because it's going to be a different color.
Okay.
Or it'll melt off.
Well, have you ever screwed someone's hair up and you've gone past the point of no return? Have you had to deal with this situation where you look at it going, I am so sorry?
Early in my career, like my first year of work, I got written up 3 times when I did pixie cuts on women.
Okay.
Because we didn't really touch on that in cosmetology school. Unfortunately, I had to learn by messing up on these women's hair.
How do you fix the mess up?
I don't. My manager did at the time.
Okay.
Fortunately, I don't have that these days.
Well, but I was going to ask, are the women understanding that, hey, this is the first or third time I've done this? Or are they angry that the manager has to fix it?
It's both.
Okay.
Sometimes they're really nice to you, but then they can come back to the manager and flip out. And they're like, I didn't want to say anything. My one lady, she was like, I didn't want to say anything to her. She was so sweet. She was so upset, but like, look at this. So.
Is she still a customer?
No, that
Okay.
was just someone who was like past, because I used to work at the mall.
Okay.
Just a walk-in.
Okay. I was just curious if you've screwed up someone's hair so bad that they still come back to you.
I do. One of my friends from junior high and high school, like I was quitting. I was not doing hair anymore after her hair one day, and she is still coming to me.
Okay. Well, that's good, I guess.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share to my class before I let you go?
Not that I can think of that we have covered already. A lot of people, like my dad, says all you do is cut hair, which I want to smack him sometimes, but because I don't think he realizes everything that goes into it on a daily basis. It's not an easy job. It is physical. Like sometimes I am standing in one spot for a minimum of like 4 hours doing one hair color, and I don't move. I don't get to eat. I don't get to use the restroom. Like it is long hours. It's demanding. Sometimes you want to throw in the towel, and it is a job where you just kind of have to, if it's something you really love, you got to stick it out, because it becomes more rewarding the more you do it.
So my final question has nothing to do with hairstyling. My final question is, of all the roles you played on stage, what is your favorite?
Oh man. It's like a 3-way tie.
Okay.
Ursula in The Little Mermaid, Miss Hannigan and Annie, and Rosie in Mamma Mia.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. My still favorite is from Xanadu, but anyway, that's another story for another time.
I loved that one too.
That was good.
Fun to be evil on stage.
And you were in Gypsy too, right?
Oh yes.
Yes. Okay, because that was one of Dan's first roles at the stage.
That is where we met.
Yes. So
Yep.
Are you auditioning for Beauty and the Beast?
Oh yes. If I'm not a teapot, the world's gonna hear about it.
Really? I would have never seen you as a teapot.
Mrs. Potts is a dream role of mine.
Is it really? That's it.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm glad you could take your time away to talk to my students.
No problem.
Hey, you have a great day, and hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.